Hello and welcome to Flory Models Kit Review time. Today we've got AMK's latest release. This is the 1/48 scale MI17 or HIP. Now at the moment, my last count, I think we've got Trumpeter's got one, obviously Zvezda's got one, and obviously AMK have got one out. Of what I must admit is probably one of the most underrated helicopters out there. I've had the privilege of flying in one of these a couple of times as well. So it is a total workhorse, and I can't believe we've had to wait all these years to actually get some nice ones come along. We know obviously we've seen them in other scales. I have got the MI8 down there as well for the Russian version. But yeah, so basically the 17 is the export version, if you like. There's lots of different versions of MI8s and 17s and all the way around to it. And now obviously you've got the new breed of them as well, which is the 171 and various things like that. So again, it's very much an iconic helicopter. I've been waiting for one in 1/48 scale, and now we're blessed by one. So again, we might have a look at the other kits, but I thought we'd have a look at this one because this one seems to be the most interesting, or definitely from my point of view. So as you can see on the box, nice little bit of box art down in there. And again, these sort of used worldwide by lots of people, military and civilian alike as well. So you can probably see these anywhere around the world. All right. So on the box, see we've got a check one down the bottom. Very nice indeed. We've got this one up on here. So your kit number for this one is 88010. And we've got another one down in here, which is the Macedonian Air Force one as well. So again, very nice indeed. Right, so in the box we are greeted by quite a bit. As you can see, we've got lots of stuff down in here, which is nice. So we've got top fuselage looking good. We've got slide molded rocket pods and various things. So we do get 4 weapons in this one as well, which is quite nice. There's one thing I was looking at. And then obviously we've got some smaller screws, which are all sort of stuck together. Various parts. We'll have a good look at those in a minute. You can see really this is absolutely packed full of parts down in here. And again, clear parts going to be very important on helicopters. We've got the rotors, and you see we've got a little bit of sag in those as well, molded in. Nice touch. And then down in here we've got the actual main fuselage sections, and then obviously the internals. And then last up we've actually got the little bit of Photo-Etch down in there, which is nice, and some decals. As always, we'll have a start in the old instructions though. So down in here we have, obviously we've got 3 versions down in this one. Again, we've got obviously slightly older, worn down version of the Czech one. We've got a more modern one down over here. And again, we've got a Macedonian one in the nice white markings as well, which is very nice. Colour callouts, as you imagine, down the bottom, which are all in FS. So it actually starts off with those markings, which are actually very, very nice indeed. So again, various ones. I assume this is decals down in here. So it's got the green internals as opposed to the blue being the Russian one. So very nice. And then we're straight into it. So unusually, we're starting with one of the bulkheads. So this is the main bulkhead between the actual, cabin area and the actual cockpit right the way through. So we've got all of those down in there. So fitting all in, looks very nicely detailed as well. So we got them in. We got the little bench seat, which I had the privilege of sitting in once. Very nice. Down in between the pilots. And then over into the main area itself. So again, we've got lots of detail parts all around in here going through. So we've got collectives and cyclics and things like that. Forward instrument panels, and then various ones for the center one for the flight engineer, and all the various parts. So again, in the rear, I'm assuming you might be able to have these stowed or open as well. So so we've actually got the seats in the down position right the way through on both sides if you want to do, but I'm sure it wouldn't take much to actually have those in the actual folded up one as well. So again, right the way in. So you've got like an internal cabin feature is going to go through. So we've got internals for the roof, for the sides, and then obviously onto the floor. Popping the windows in, so they're quite big windows down in here on both sides. And then obviously it's talking about this here, which is a duddy. What is that for? Does that mean putty? I don't know. So anyway, we'll have to see what that is, running right the way down in there. Then we've actually got a little bit of engine detail, nothing over the top, to be honest. It's just giving you an idea of what they are and where they go. So again, running from the intakes down to the exhausts, right the way through up the top there. So very nice indeed. And then again, we've got that big engine section being fitted down onto the roof. We've got these tiny little latches and handles and everything for access to the access panels into this one, right the way over. Got the APU down here at the back, APU intake at the top, main engine ones. All right, very nice. Then we've actually got the rears. So these are the rear doors being fitted down into there and all the equipment onto those. And again, it's obviously putting those together, or you can have them split open. So you could have them open, or I suppose you could do like a Special Forces version, have no back on it at all. So you could do all of that. Then it's talking about the glass work. So you've got that overhead panel, the big one at the top there with all the circuit breakers and the various bits and pieces on there. So that's going to fit those in. And then down here underneath, you've got all the lumps and bumps. So you've got the nacelles on the sides for the actual fuel tanks, the various bits on there fitted onto this one. Got the Doppler radar down here at the back as well for doing the altitude. And then obviously all the little bits and pieces right the way through. We've got a hoist fitted, we've got doors open or closed, lots of various things, got the landing lights, so forth and so on with all of those. That's very nice. All your aerials being fitted onto this one. We've got the escape hatch on the roof being fitted into there as well. And then obviously we've got the main gear being fitted on. Very nice indeed. Tail rotor assembly. And obviously we've got the skid at the back being fitted down. Pretty standard right the way through. And then again, it's option if you want to put it on. So you've got pylons. So actually you can strap the pylon to this one as well. And then obviously we've got some rockets down on there as well. So we've got the UMB-32s on there. And then obviously down in here, we've got all the pitos, we've got the boarding steps as well, all the various small parts before you work your way over actually onto the rotor head. So you've got all the details down in there into the rotor head. We've got mirrors being fitted, dropping that rotor down in the top. So again, it looks like you're not going to have an option to have it so you could sort of slide fit the blades in. So it's going to be quite big with all the blades on this one. And then again, down here at the back, it's talking about cutting off and removing some of the details down here at the back as well. We're assuming this is for the Mi-8 version, which should be the Russian military version as well, slightly different version. And then you're going to go back and probably replace it with other bits and pieces anyway. So we've got Photo-Etch down in here being fitted onto them. In fact, I think that's what it's doing. It's on about removing the detail because they've actually redone it in Photo-Etch. So again, you don't have to. You can just leave those on there just like that. Actually, that's really, really nice. I am excited. I do like the old MIs family in general. So, yes. Right, so decals themselves, as always, beautifully done. Very nicely done indeed. So, as you can see, we've got pretty much good writing. Looking pretty good, all of those right the way through. So the cockpit, obviously, as you see, you do normal sort of green on the inside for it all, and then obviously you got these over. Being an export version, though, you could do it in black and various other colours depending on them, all right? But this technically is an early hip, so I think you're going to be doing it with the green right the way over. It tends to be the more modern ones which have the black interiors. Photo-Etch. We won't worry about getting these out, but as you can see, some very nice extra details down into these. So all you're going to do is replace the kit ones with these, which in some ways would be quite nice because you're not going to have the joins, which we'll have a look at in a moment. So that's very nice. Okay, so first sprue gives you an idea of the size of this thing. So front to end, you're going to be looking at around about, with the tail rotor on it, around about 40 centimeters. So again, it is a big helicopter. So down in here, out. All right, so we'll start off with the fuselage section. As you can see, really nice. There is a texture right over it that jumps out straight away. So there is a sort of gravelly, grainy texture all the way over it, and it hasn't been totally polished out. But again, it's one of those ones, it's, you know, it wouldn't take too much, a couple of coats of primer and you'll lose all of that anyway. But generally, I have to say, the surface detail is really very, very nice. You can see we've got these areas down in here, the various ones on the back there. And again, looking at it, they've deliberately put this texture onto it. Again, the ones I was in were very, very old and worn. So yeah, didn't take much notice of the outside textures, to be honest. But as you can see, very nice right the way through, down there to the tail. Here's your underside. So we've got the lights underneath, some of the lumps and bumps. The cells for the side. We've got the pilots and co-pilots instrument panels in there. Again, not massively going to run home about and all the rest of it, but as you say, it'd be quite a nice little upgrade to stick in an aftermarket set down in there, just like that. Got your tail rotor. On the inside, there's nothing, purely because you're going to build up the entire cockpit. But it has got some strengthening work down in these areas. So that's very nice indeed. So very good. All right. Then we've got this side over here, which has got a lot more of the details on. Here we are on Sprue B. And again, no problem with it. AMK tend to be one of those companies which just gets it right. I'm quite a big fan of all of their gear. And yeah, no, good solid construction, looks like all the way through. So there's that rear bulged door, and we've got internals into that as well. There's a couple of ejector pins, but pretty easy to get to those ones. And again, if you wanted to, you could cut open the little door down in here. That's actually a gunner's position for the rear. So very nice. Internal details running down in here behind that engine. As I said, it's a token gesture, but obviously you could detail that up, and I'm sure the aftermarket people will be running along with various things. Weapon pylons, got a little bit of a sink mark running down through the middle of them. Just a bit on that one, just catching that in the light. Hopefully you can see that, but nothing massively you go over the top. So we've got those intakes on here as well. This is that housing, I assume, for the radar on the back for the radar altimeter. It's like a Doppler system on these. And then over here we've got the roof lining. So obviously you've got, this is the back end, front end up here. So again, side door, got the flooring right the way through. Again, nice details. Rotor head itself at the top. And then again, we've got the side panels for the internals, all look pretty darn good. Very nice. You've got raised rivets all the way around the actual windows and things like that. So very nice. And again, down in here, we've got the little door area with texture. So it's actually got the texture all molded into that one. So that's very nice. As you can see, even on the back side, all the ejector pins are either recessed or flush. So that's very, very good. There's the odd little sink mark, but they're very, very tiny. Nothing that you get excited about, I don't think. Okay, so down in here, we've got the more internals with a lot more of the small bits, the pitos, tail rotor, things like that. All right, so this is Sprue D. And then again, if we skip over here, you can see we've got various parts being, this is the actual boarding steps going through. So these are molded just like that, which is actually quite a nice touch. The internals for the paneling and everything else, we've got the nose wheel down in here, the actual post for it, pitos, aerials, all the various small bits right the way through. And then over here, so the overhead panel actually looks quite nice. So again, very, very nice indeed. So basically you've got all the circuit breakers down on this side. It's actually upside down. It would be, if you were looking at it, it would be this way. So again, circuit breakers all down in there. So you've got the power arms of all those down. Then over here, you've got the engine controls in the middle and all the bits and pieces. And then the far side will be weapons control. So very nice. Tail rotor looks very, very good. So again, nice details right the way through on that one. And then everywhere else, it's all looking pretty darn good, I'll be honest. Looks very, very nice indeed. So again, this one over here. Yeah, actually, looking at it, I'm just wondering. Yeah, it looks like we've got two different ones here. So we've got the overhead panel, I think, in here as well, which will be more the civilian version, and the military version over here. So I'm wondering if there's an MI8 coming down the line as well. Okay, so after that, we will move a lot smaller. So blades themselves, I won't bother getting these out because you can see, but I do have a very nice bit of sag built into them because it does lean down quite a lot on these. So this is pre-done in. Very nice. Raised details as would be. Nice detail right the way through with those. In fact, I think that other one is the main rotor. That must be the main rotor, and that's how they attach. So it's a blade system that goes underneath. So I'm just looking at under here. So it's actually going to go in like that. That's the main rotor, and then these are going to go underneath it and going to fit in. So yeah, it gives you an idea of the size. So I'm thinking you're roughly going to be a rotor span of, this is just a quickie down in here, but around about 50 centimeters, just under 50 centimeters with a full rotor span. Okay, then down in here we've got that over the cabin, we've got the engine compartment, nice one piece. So again, very, very nicely done. Nice details. It's a little bit glossy as if it's got a little bit of release agent on this one, but you can see got good textures all the way through. Nice, nice, very nice indeed. Okay, so we've got slide molded rockets. Look at that. That's cool. All right. So if we just grab one off, there we go. Beautifully done. Very, very nice indeed. So no problems with seams, just going to be taking out the actual sprue attachment points and you're good to go. That's what we like about AMK. Okay, so last up we've got a couple of ones. We've got dual ones here on F. So this is your sort of more your internals as well. So we've got the seats down in here. We've got the intakes with the little shock area on the front. And then obviously we've got the forward little intake on here, the little stills for it and all the rest of it. So that's very nice. So we've got two of those just like that. All right. And then again, I assume we have two of these, for which we do. So this is another match pair. So down in here on Sprue G, we've got the gear, big old wheels at the back. And then again, we've got the rocker bars. And again, we've got slight, you can see them there, catching them and all. We've got sink marks and all of those, which is a real shame. But I don't know if you really see it. It's not too much on that side, but there's definitely a bit of a sink mark on the front side. And then obviously we've got the seats for the pilot, co-pilot. All right, just down in there like that. And we've got the cyclic down in here. Generally, the detail is actually very, very good. All right, last up, we've got the clear parts. Use the crinklies. There we go. So, as you say, really nice clear parts on the front. It's a shame that they're going to marry right up because it's going to go right to the edge on these. Again, fine on the underside, this is solid, but these side ones are going to be right up to it. So yeah, that's a little bit of a disappointment on there. We've got nice, you can probably see on here, they're bulged, the actual door ones. So they've got a slight bulge to those. And again, we've got the sort of lens eye effect from all of the actual windows on the side. So they're not flat glass, they're actually slightly bulged as well. Down here at the back here, this is that radar altimeter for the Doppler system. I was just worried about it. They have done it. So we've got clear parts as well. The escape hatch has two small windows in there as well. So again, very nice. So as long as that goes in there in nice one piece, we'll be okay. It's got small little tabs on these windows, I think, to help locate them. So don't sound those off thinking they're sprue attachments, because obviously it's some way of gripping it in. But it would be nice to get a little bit more meat just down on these sides, because literally you've just got the framing and that's it. So you're going to have to be very careful as you sort of glue those in those areas. But yes, I have to say, I am impressed. I was slightly skeptical because, again, I've seen the other people's ones in CAD and obviously photos online, but I haven't actually had my hands on the plastic. I thought the AMK one might be a safe bet, but I wasn't too sure about what was in the kit as in detail. Having seen it now, it's got everything I could have ever wanted. And again, I think really instrument panels, things like that, you might want to think about going down the aftermarket, maybe with the seats as well, because you're going to see a lot of that because it's glass at the front end and go through with it. Options for this is great because you could literally go through your life with it. You could do it as an assault vehicle, you could do it as, you know, civilian transport, you can do it as military, you can do it as gunship role. You've got all your options in this kit, which is actually quite nice. Really nice touch as well about the rear being opened up. So you've got loads of detail down in there to show off the cabin, which is quite cavernous in those things as well. So yeah, very, very impressed. So I can see myself building this one, definitely. So watch out later in the year and we'll have a go at putting this particular kit together. Anyway, that's the AMK's brand new 1/48 scale MI17 kit.